Hey, what's up, guys? Alex with Bay Cities Construction here, and this is the Bay Cities Construction Show, episode 61. Today, we're going to be talking about common balcony damages, common balcony damage that we've experienced during an inspection, and I have a special guest, my daughter, Isabella Rodriguez.
Hey.
Isabella's our new little intern, and she's helping me measure and document the data points at the various inspections that we're going to. So we're going to be talking about it together. She's learning the business, learning the balcony ins and outs, and we're going to have a good show. Thanks for coming, Isabella.
No problem.
Guys, welcome to the Bay Cities Construction Show. We try and put out a show at least once a month, sometimes twice. And this week we're talking about balconies. This is episode 61. We're going to be talking about, we got a couple case studies here. We're going to be talking about the Catwalks over in Santa Monica job that we're doing right now. We're going to be looking at some balconies that have some tile, some that have structural damage, and the fun and famous Alex's Trivia Center. All right, let's talk about the Catwalks in Santa Monica. All right, Izzy, so let's kind of get into it. This is a building. We're not working on this building yet. This is a building we went to go do a preliminary inspection on. And it's a twin little building deal. And what are some of the things that stood out to you when we went over there and checked it out?
Definitely all the cracks. Lots of deep cracks, rusting on the handrails. Honestly, it was just mainly the cracks because when you look at them, they're really intimidating. You're kind of like, whoa, that looks a little scary. Should I be concerned? And in some cases, yeah, you should.
So we have a previous episode where we talked about some of the indicators that show that the balconies have water intrusion. Well, this is definitely one of them. If you look at the picture on the screen here, this is a handrail with a deteriorated post. You can see that there's almost no metal touching anymore. And then there's a crack right in front of it. So the common locations where you're going to get water intrusion are sliding doors, at the base of the posts, whether they're metal or wood, and obviously if you have any surface cracks anywhere. Those are going to be the telltale signs that you have a water intrusion. And this building had pretty much all of them. Had surface cracks, definitely looked like it had some openings by the posts, and you could see in this picture at the top of the stairs and the landing, it has cracks, and what you see in this section here as I move the mouse is the top layer of the waterproofing has worn out. Any rust at the base of the posts, that's indicative that the plate that's holding up the handrail is rusting out as we speak. So, Izzy, when you looked at this stuff, you're still new to this. What kind of stood out? What kind of freaked you out? Did you feel unsafe at some point walking on the surfaces?
I definitely, where there was more cracks, kind of where the bars were more rusted, I definitely was a little cautious walking because I was like, oh my gosh, am I going to go through the floor right now? And I feel like if I was a person living there, I would also think that. Like, I would be concerned if, the catwalk is stable, if those cracks, mean that there's damage below, like the exact thought of, am I going to end up on the ground? That was kind of like my main worry, and obviously that hasn't happened, but it kind of still lingers in the back of your mind.
Now, the other thing that we look for when we're walking the jobs is we're looking for the floor to be spongy. This really didn't have a tremendous amount of flex on the floor. There were the sections where the cracks were, there definitely was a bit of flex, but for the most part, I didn't feel like my foot was going to go through it. However, on one of at the front of the building, there was a section where the stucco was deteriorated and looked like there was mold growing, and I don't see a picture of that in here, but that's definitely another sign of that's a sign of actual structural damage. So there's kind of two phases to this. So first, you could see water intrusion into the structure. Then if that's allowed to progress for a long period of time, then you'll see conditions like what are on this picture, where the handrail rusted out, there's rust on the base plate, and then there's actual surface cracks. If you allow that to continue, then underneath the balcony, you'll actually start seeing mold grow, or the stucco starts to erode. It starts to actually break apart, and that's when you have indications of structural damage. The damage that we're looking at here has probably been this way for maybe 7 or 8 years and gotten worse. And then from here, moving forward, it deteriorates very quickly. Like from the time that you get structural damage is months from now. All you need is a little bit of fungus growing on the structural framing that's underneath here, and you'll have tens of thousands of dollars in damage, maybe even a complete replacement of the balconies. All right, so let's talk about another surface condition, because we haven't seen a lot of this until just recently. We've been doing the inspections really actively since, I'd say probably October, November-ish, something like that, where people are starting to call us because I think they're really worried about it now. They have to comply with the ordinances. So balconies, this is I think the jobs we're going to show you, they're in Redondo, and these are single family houses, so not apartment buildings. These are family owned buildings, houses. So this one has talk a little bit about this one. What did you see here that stood out?
So, I mean, when you look at it, it doesn't look like there's any damage at all. It honestly looks completely fine. And the tiles kind of give you that deceiving look, because you really can't see if there's any cracking in the surface, or if there's any collection pools of water like you would see in like a regular deck or balcony. So that was kind of like the main thing. You look at it, you're like, it looks pretty good to me. I don't see that there's any mistakes or, cracks or damage.
So this one has, this is the danger of going with tile. You can see the tile bumps up against the door and it's almost flush. All of these, the tracks on the doors have these weep holes where the water hits the glass, they drain out, and then they get out of the tracks. If you don't allow the water to drain out, it pools in there and eventually it finds its way. I did notice ever so slight, there was some grout cracking, but the real tell sign was underneath the tiles on the edges that were popping out and the molding over the garage that was rotting. So under this scenario, this is going to have to be completely removed, and we're actively negotiating with the clients right now. We've actually submitted a proposal to do the job. So the clients have elected to not put tile back on. We're going to basically demo it out, replace this door, waterproof, the waterproof flashing, the stucco, waterproof all of these posts, replace the glass, remove and reinstall the glass again, because the posts are not going to change. So that's what we're going to be doing with that. This tends to be a little bit more expensive demo because it weighs more. So we got to, it's a bigger bill at the landfill. It's more to demo. If you do elect to reinstall the tile, then you have to, there is a system that is possible for that, made by Life Specialty Coatings. And it's a mortar-based system that will allow you to put the tile back on. But you got to be very careful that if you want to do that, because you'll be back to the same scenario in 15 or 20 years. There's other options. All right, second tiled balcony in Redondo Beach as well. This one is over by the Esplanade. Real nice part of town, that if you guys have seen that. And you didn't go with me to see this one, but this one's interesting because it has a lot of bad combinations, in the sense that it makes it very expensive to repair this. If you could see in the back of this picture, you have 2 AC units. Those AC units have to be disconnected, which means the homeowner has to pay somebody to capture the gas of the AC and haul away the units, and then later come back and reinstall them. We would have to not only demo all of the tile, but demo the stucco so we can put new waterproof and waterproof flashing. This scuppert is your secondary right here. You notice it's a lot higher off the surface, right? So under this condition, it would be like the drain clogs, and then the water's allowed to go in. The problem is that the threshold is very low, so the water will pour into the house if this drain's clogged. So what I recommended to the client is that this drain be replaced with a larger drain, and have a screen installed there, and then install another drain on the other end. And then we're probably going to have to replace this door because the tile's going under the door. So here's the kind of a wide shot. You could see the garage, it's actively leaking right now. So it's all of that drywall is going to have to go out. It's probably got mold growing through it or on the back side of it. So this is going to be a pricey repair for sure. Now we're going to talk about structurally damaged balcony. Now, guys, this is the worst case scenario. This was a job here in Redondo that I went to go see, and it's I think this is a 2 on a lot. So there's a catwalk above here, and basically when I first walked on the catwalk, I could see that there were actual holes like in the plywood. I could see it's super spongy. Like I was really worried I was going to put my foot through the plywood. And I talked to the owner and I told him, hey, listen, I really think that we should do a little demo discovery, see what they have, see what how bad it looks. And he agreed. And so here, the span of this beam is 12 feet. And it looks like there's 6 feet of it that's gone. Like this whole connection here, this is all gone. This is the backside of the balcony catwalk. And then this part cantilevers from the main structure. So this is gone. This is a $50,000 repair. This is a big problem. So we sent these pictures over to the engineers, and they said, hey, remove the rest of the stucco. I want to know if the inside floor joist can be saved or not. So, we'd have to go back and open that up and have the engineers evaluate that. What do you think when you see something like this?
I mean, definitely what that caption says, yikes. That's scary. Because when you look at it, it definitely doesn't look too good. Kind of concerning if you want to be walking on that or not. Probably not. And it just looks a little funky. The wood is all dark. I'm assuming that white fuzzy stuff kind of more on the longer part of the post is not visible, right? The second. I'm assuming that's some type of mold or fungus, right? On the other side.
That's actually fungus. That white stuff is fungus.
Right. There, move it more. Yeah. See that clumpy white stuff. Is that the stucco or is that some type of fungus?
So that's leftover stucco. Okay. That's the leftover chipping of the stucco. The black stuff, the real dark black stuff, that's mold, kind of fungus. And that white one, that's like what you would see like mushrooms growing eventually.
See, definitely a little worrisome because it's not very good.
And you could see, like, you could really stick your finger or stick a pen through that, and you would just chip it away. It's like cork. Yeah. It's gone. It won't hold weight.
Definitely not good.
Yeah. Most of the weight is being held up by these connections here, but this is a primarily super important connection because it drags the weight from this length here, and I think that was probably like 8 or 9 feet going in this direction. So luckily there's no structure over us. This is the catwalk, so if it were to break, you just lose the pedestrian walking on here. You're not going to lose the building.
That's still not good, though.
That's not good. All right, here's another angle of the whole thing. So you can see this is like their backyard, and that's a little catwalk. There's a little scupper there. And the real hole, the hole that I could see on the deck when I first walked on there was up here, was in this section here. And pretty much the water's just the entire time. The stucco trapped it, and it evaporated, and it started working the wood in both directions here. All right, we got another structural damaged balcony. This one's not as bad, but this is an apartment building. So the reason that I wanted to show the audience this part here is because you could see that somebody patched it at some point, right? You see the newer wood, you can see the older wood, and then you can see the rotted wood that they left. So for those of you that have an apartment building or an HOA and you want to get it approved so it complies with the state bills, the Senate bills that were just passed for balcony safety, the minute that your balcony inspector bores a hole, looks through, and sees this, you failed. You automatically failed the balcony. They're going to tell you, hey, you got to do demo discovery. You got to open it up. You got to maybe even have it engineered if the damage is severe enough. By the way, the previous catwalk that I showed you, that has to be engineered. I can't just replace it with the same wood and hope that it's all well. It has to be re-engineered because the current building standard may be higher than it was when it was approved, at the time it was approved. The building codes get more and more stringent every year. So in this scenario, what we would have to do, and what I proposed to the owner, is that we open up the stucco some more. He did a little, kind of a little exploratory hole himself, and you could see white fungus. You could see that dark, dry rotted wood, and you could see the newer wood that somebody patched it up with. So this has got to kind of get opened up and thoroughly assessed, inspected and assessed. So what I would recommend is, this is the same building, the scuppered on the outside. You see all this dark stuff? We recommended that we open all of that section to the owner. And same thing here. Actually, you can see the stucco cracked under its own weight. See that crack there? We didn't do that. And then there's a vertical crack along here. That just means that it flexed. That's how you get cracking. It flexed. It means that the connections are not as strong as they need to be. So again, we're going to open this bad boy up here. We're going to open up vertically and around the scupper and properly assess how bad the framing damage is. Balconies in Redondo Beach. We've got a lot of deals in Redondo Beach right now. We've got maybe our billboards. Have you guys seen our billboards? If you take a picture of one of our billboards and you send it to us, or post it in the comments below, I'm going to send you a Starbucks gift card. We got a bunch of Starbucks gift cards to send out to people. This is I think it's like a 10, 12 unit building in Redondo also. We haven't done the demo and discovery. I just sent out the paperwork to the owner, but what I want to do is I want to open up the stucco in these sections here, here, and here. You see all this water damage stuff? That's where the water gets trapped, and this is where it's been escaping. So we want to open that up and see if there's any fungus in there. Look, guys, when you get a price, if any of you guys get a price on any of these projects, without opening them up, the price is not real, because no one can see what's in there. Even if you bore a couple little holes and all that, you have to see the total area that could be potentially damaged. So when we do a demo discovery agreement, I'm going to say to you, hey, look, we think we're going to do 5 square feet, 10 square feet, 30 square feet of stucco that we're going to open up so that we could assess what the wood looks like underneath. If you don't do that, you don't have a price. On one of these jobs, the owner got quoted something like $4,000 to do the waterproofing. And I told him, I said, well, you do the waterproofing, what about all the rotted wood underneath there? You know, you're going to give people a false sense of security that the deck's tip top and it's just waterproof, but the balcony's underneath, it's hammered. Like, you don't want that. You don't want that exposure. That's not a deal.
But I feel like people just don't understand that. Like, when you get quoted a lower price, you know, right on, it's cheap. But then you don't really understand, like, what could that person be doing for $4,000? Are they really doing all the work? Like you said, in that picture, they left, and the previous job we looked at, they left rotted wood, which means they didn't complete the job, and the building has damage still that could be potentially dangerous. And I feel like you really gotta kind of think it through, right? When you're going and looking through different people to hire, what could they do for that price? Are they doing what they need to do? Or should I be concerned that I'm getting gypped and things are still pretty dangerous? But you don't know that.
No, 100%. The other component to it is that if you put new wood and it touches the wood that has fungus,
Gone.
The new wood gets contaminated and the fungus just spreads. So you're not solving the problem. You know, you're delaying it, or which in this case would make it more expensive to fix, because now we have to demo out all of the work that the other person did. You know, all of that new wood that's touching the old stuff, that's going to go along with the rotted stuff eventually. So folks, I really recommend that you open it up and see how bad it is. Don't just don't just pretend that if you don't see it, it's not there. It's there. And when we see pictures like this, there's definitely some damage to be had. So we're hoping that we can do a little demo discovery on this once the rains stop. But you can see there's length. That mold is where the water gets trapped. It's better to assess it, do a little demo discovery, and see how bad it is, and take care of it. Well, folks, it's Alex's Trivia Corner time. So today's trivia question is, how do Hawaiians say balcony or porch in their native lingo? A, lanai. 2, kamawawa. What is that? Luau. Or 3, mile.
Melikilikimaka. Like
Yeah.
the song.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Guys, first one who gets it right, we'll send you out a little Starbucks gift card.
We love us some Starbucks.
A little Starbucks don't hurt nobody. All right, so this is the question time. This is the question time. All right. So, what is the question number 1? What are some of the questions we got?
Yeah, Alex. So some of the common questions that we get is, why is it important to keep up with maintenance on my balcony and deck?
If you have plants, if you have constant exposure to water, if you're down here in the beach cities, if you're in Redondo, Manhattan, Hermosa, if you're down in Huntington Beach, any of the beach cities where you get morning moisture, morning fog, you're going to get condensation on the balcony. The minute that you have some cracks or intrusion of water, you're going to start the process of rotting out the lumber, the structural framing underneath there. Big expense. So you can do some very easy maintenance. Every 3 years, we recommend doing a top coat. If you have a fresh system that you've installed in the last 4 or 5 years at the most, you do a color coat on top, and make sure you put a coat every 3 years. Get everything cleaned up, clean everything up with some triphosphate soap, and that's going to not harm your plants or anything. Scrub it off, rinse it off, let it dry, and put a couple coats of paint every 3 years, and you'll be good to go.
That and the sun. The sun will do it all. Like how we saw in the first Catwalk picture, you could the sun, and I'm sure the water was starting to kind of deteriorate that system down.
Yeah, the UV light breaks down the pigmentation and the color coat, and before you know it, it's done. The other thing too is, if you have apartments, people moving in and out, moving fridges in, they bang up the stairs, they bang up the catwalks. Just have it inspected. You know, if your building manager sees that you have any gouges or any scarring on the surface of the deck, that could be repaired easily without, if you don't let that go, and it gets worse. So it could be a very inexpensive repair versus an expensive repair if you have deferred maintenance.
Another common question that we get, Alex, is, my railings are loose. What do I need to do to get them repaired?
That is always a big question. If the railing is loose, the railing is unsafe. If the railing is shorter than 42 inches, it's considered unsafe. If the railing has openings where a child could get their head through or crawl through or stuck, if the railing is loose, those are items that need to be handled right away. If the damage is severe enough, you maybe even be mandated to have an engineer draft a quick little repair plan for how the railings are going to be installed and attached to the decking.
Another common question that we get is, do I need permits for these type of repairs?
You need permits if you're going to do a structural repair. If you're going to do just a straight waterproofing and there's no structural damage, then you don't need a permit for that. If you have framing that needs to be done, you can do a combo permit, and it's pretty straightforward. If you're going to replace the railings, you're going to have an engineer design the attachment points and the heights and specify it to make sure that it's up to the current building code. You could retrofit some of the railings if in some cases, if they're steel, you could retrofit them. You can fix them, make them up to the heights, put in some meshing. I've seen that done. But maintenance is the most important thing. Making sure that those posts are nice and firm against the ground.
Somebody else wants to know, how long does this type of project usually take to finish?
If it's just a straight up waterproof project, you're going to be probably about 4 or 5 days, maybe 6 days. If you have to have framing repaired and all that, that could be a couple weeks. So it just depends on how bad it is. But the waterproofing component is only 4 to 5 days.
Somebody wants to know that they say they recently had a contractor come out and look at their balcony, and they said they need engineering. What does that mean?
If you have structural damage, if the wood that's holding up the balcony or the deck has been compromised, if you've got, like any of those pictures where we showed you guys you have structural damage, that it's going to have to be engineered. There's just no way around it. If you have to replace the handrails because they're really bad, same thing. You have to have it engineered.
One of our local viewers wants to know, they say they recently learned about SB 326 and 731. They want to know if it impacts every single house in California.
Well, as far as the mandate, it's going to impact, I think it's units, it's 3 or more. If it's a duplex, it doesn't impact it. But look, I think that the spirit of the law is that people take notice of these balconies, right? Many of these buildings were built in the 50s and the 70s. You're talking 30 years of exposure to weather, and we still see original systems from the time the house was built or the time the building was built. That system has way surpassed its expected lifespan. So, I've gone to go see single family houses, plenty of them in the last few months, and many of them have a lot of damage. So, if you want to enjoy your balcony, you want to take care of your house, these are things. This is the type of damage. It's like a roof leak. It was easy to prevent, and it's really expensive to repair if you let it go for like a long time.
So basically the takeaway is, regardless of the new laws that are becoming, maintenance is good. Upkeep is good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether it's required or not.
Absolutely.
Looks like somebody else wants to know. It looks like they need some advice. They say some of their tenants like to keep planters on their balconies. What should they do about that?
Planters are bad. It's bad. It's just bad.
Plants are good though. They're so cute.
Plants are bad on balconies.
Maybe.
So I guess if you were to tell me, hey, should I allow my tenants to have plants on the balcony? I would say no. Or you could say, I will, no problem. You can have some plants in the balcony. Your rent's going to be $350 more. And look, there's just going to be, we don't get a lot of rain here. We get these balconies really take a beating from the exposure, right? From the sun exposure and from water. If you're dragging heavy pots, like those clay, big heavy pots, they could damage it's very common, and I've seen it, that you have damage to the waterproofing. So, just understand that those are the risks if you're going to have plants there. If you know that the tenants, we went to go see one in the valley that it's an HOA, and they're all owners and they all want to have plants. So what I recommended was that they create, instead of the handrail, they remove the handrail, and we install a steel kind of parapet wall that has little shelves so they can put the pots, and collectively a bunch of little pots with plants is your fence. So, but that keeps, the beauty of that idea is that it keeps it off the surface of the waterproofing. Now you're going to have, the water coming onto the surface of the deck, but you're not going to have the plants. You're not going to be rubbing and dragging heavy planters all over the waterproofing. And by the way, that's an HOA thing. So that, it's a little bit different than tenants in an apartment building.
Somebody else wants to know, Alex, do you work with HOAs and property managers?
Yes. Yeah, we consult the HOAs normally after they've had the inspection done and they haven't passed. we normally deal with them, and we help them get set up with an engineer to do the design for the repairs, and then we'll do the repairs.
Looks like somebody else wants to know, Alex, are you doing the SB 326 inspections and certifications?
We can do those inspections. We will do them on jobs that we repaired already. So we do a site walk. Let's say that there's things that are obviously wrong. We'll do the repairs on them, and then we'll certify the balconies.
Somebody else wants to know, how often do I have to do required maintenance on a balcony or a deck?
3 years. 3 years is the magic number in my book, and I'll tell you why. Most of the balcony systems will say, "Hey, get it inspected every 4 to 5 years." So if it's every 3 years, first of all, if you had somebody do some type of damage to the surface, you do the inspection every 3 years, you're very likely to not have a tremendous amount of damage, obviously, unless it's a big gaping hole. But as far as wear and tear, normal wear and tear, if you put in 2 new coats every 3 years, you can probably make any balcony system last 10, 15, 20 years, no problem.
Somebody else wants to know, Alex, do you offer any type of warranty for these services?
Well, on the systems that we install, most of the manufacturer warranty is 10 years. If you sign up for the maintenance program and we go and put a coat of finish on every 3 years, you can easily double that as far as warranty on labor and materials. Not including any damage, that anybody does. It's just wear and tear. So what does that mean? That means if you have a delamination, if you have premature fading due to sun damage, those types of things is what we're talking about covering under the warranty. When you have delamination, you'll have like a bubble. The waterproofing kind of gets a bubble. Normally, that occurs when you put the system over non-bonderized metal or something like that. But assuming that none of that happens, that you don't have any of that, the system will last for a long time.
Somebody else wants to know, Alex, do you work in the San Fernando Valley? They own 2 different properties out there, and they need your help with balconies.
Yeah, our service area is the San Fernando Valley. Pretty much, we'll go down to San Pedro, LA, and Orange County. Well, Brian, since that's all our questions, and if anybody wants to learn more or book an inspection with me and Isabella, all you got to do is go to baycitiesconstruction.com. And you can actually set up your appointment right then and there. We'll do a Zoom call. Send me some pictures of your balcony or your deck, and we'll start with a conversation over the phone. Guys, thanks very much for watching the show. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe. Leave a comment. It helps the algorithm recognize us as a relevant subject matter expert regarding this topic. And if you haven't done so already, you can catch up on our previous episode 60. We covered the California balcony repair laws. We're always posting on there. So thanks very much for considering us and for watching the show. Love you, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. My name's Alex Rodriguez, reminding you, you don't need a contract. You need a team of pros.